Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of TechPixieses and host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And today we are definitely going to be talking to someone who is sparkling and thriving. And it all started with a vision. So, Fern Fuller, welcome to the TechPixie Sparkle and Thrive podcast.
Hi, Joy. Brilliant to be here. Delighted.
I have loved working with you the last 3 years. In fact, I remember the very first time that we spoke when you were trying to make a decision as to whether or not you even came into the original program you came into, which was the social media program. And you've advanced beyond that now, and you've done almost all the programs we offer at TechPixieses and are now in the mastermind. What I would like to talk about, though, is one of the key decisions you made the last few years, which was to attend our vision workshop. So talk about, you actually have attended a few vision workshops, but let's talk about the first vision workshop that you attended. What was that like for you?
So the first vision workshop I attended was really eye-opening because it was all about knowing what you want, and so that you could see it when it came towards you. Otherwise you wouldn't even recognize it, what you were looking for. It also, I'd been with you, as you say, Joy, for a while, but the abundance mindset and the door to possibilities really resonated then. It was like, it is all possible, which also I didn't join Dreambuilder then because all the ants then arrived. So I was like, this is all possible and this is all wonderful. And then got a bit scared and just carried on working.
So in fact, we just finished a series on the 5 things you should be doing in your business right now. And one of the things I said in that series was you need to be making an offer. So at the end of the vision workshop, I always make an offer. It's an invitation, feel invited, not obligated, but it's an invitation. We call it a FINO invitation, an invitation to join our Dream Builder program and to work with me on 12 weeks quite closely on crafting your vision and taking action steps towards that vision and overcoming a lot of fear, but also leaning into that sense of deserving, that sense of abundance. Yeah. And so when that offer was made the first time at the end of the vision workshop, you decided not to do it.
No. And I think there was also quite a lot going on. So I just started working for myself. So I was like 5 or 6 months into working for myself, and I'd fallen into that. So it was almost like life was I was just rolling with life. And the vision workshop was like, you actually need to not roll with life. You have to identify what you want. And I think that it resonated, but also went, I don't actually know what I want. And in hindsight, I should have jumped in with both feet, which is what I did 4 months later when I attended another vision workshop.
Well, let's talk about the difference between November and then 4 months later when you did the second workshop. What changed for you? What was the deciding factor for, I'm going to take this further and I'm going to go deeper and study with Joy?
Well, I think, I've been now working for myself for 10 months. And I think probably one of the things that stayed with me from the first one was the longing and discontent, identifying that. So I'd already had those things percolating in my brain. And I was like, actually, this is working. I can do it, but how am I going to do it? Like, what do I need to do? And actually, what do I want? And I suppose that's why when I went into the second vision workshop, and it was also another opportunity to distill it because, you talk about the 4 quadrants. So it was going a little bit deeper and rethinking about it and redoing it and figuring out that actually I was pretty much still on the same track and I still had those same things, but actually I was a little bit more confident or a bit more, maybe a bit more longing, maybe not confidence the right word, a bit more, I wanted more. I thought actually this is working. I want more of this. How can I have more?
So coming to the second vision workshop just sharpened your desire for those things. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the 4 quadrants, because on the vision workshop, we talk about health and well-being, love and relationships, time and money freedom, and vocation and creative expression. Which was the area that you had the greatest longing and discontent in that you wanted to move forwards?
So I had 2 equally was financial. So the financial and the vocational, because I was in this big change of flux. And the other thing coming out of COVID and working for myself was relationships, and making those connections again. So those were the two big areas for me. I also had some health stuff going on again, mental well-being, change up in the air, this, the ants, the scariness, the mindset stuff. So I say all 4, but I'd come and focused on my business, focusing on, financial well-being. I'm a single parent. I wanted to be able to provide. I wanted the security that I could provide. But at the same time, I didn't want to work all hours. So that's why the community and the family was really important as well.
Okay. And let's talk about some of the action steps you took through the vision workshop, but also more importantly through Dream Builder to start making that all come together for you?
Well, yes. Well, I think I was probably definitely in the right place because I was going through my emails ready for us to have this call. And I think I did the vision workshop and I've got an email that went to you literally the next morning going, I've rewatched this. I think this is the right thing for me. And literally jumped into Dream Builder because a bit, I got like the door had opened. I could see what was there. The vision workshop, I was like, with the first one, it was a 3-hour workshop. So I was in there, I was doing it live. And I had just more questions. I needed more help, more assistance. And I knew that, this is what I wanted and I needed, and obviously since joining both the Dream Builder, my language has changed from need to what I love. Worrying there's not enough, but knowing there's more than enough for me and everybody else in the world. And the key thing that Dream Builder gave me was recognizing, refuting my ants, which is the automatic negative thoughts, but probably befriending my fear. I mean, there is so much in there. And there's also it wasn't just business, because there was some stuff about forgiveness and forgiveness for yourself. And I think one of the statements that you talk about in Dream Builder is that you're not your story, which is really powerful, I think, for any woman or for anybody else to know that actually what you've done in the past doesn't necessarily define your future. It's just another tool or something that you've overcome. And that's also was really powerful, is knowing that you could look back and find evidence of things that you had achieved to help you achieve more, and to keep you going when, because we all have those mornings where you don't want to get up and you think it looks impossible. But if you can find something that's, I did this before, I got up yesterday, so I could certainly get up today and I can keep going. But befriending my fear was massive. And since doing the Dream Builder, things have just changed. I finished the Dream Builder. It was just in August last year. And I was transitioning between clients. And since then, I was like, what's going to happen? And literally, I finished Dream Builder in August. I did my LinkedIn business page, and I have not stopped working. And clients just seem to come to me, and I think that's because I'm in the right place and I have a great mindset. But I'm moving forward. And
well, let's dial back. Yeah. Let's just dial back for a second and let's relive the ants a little bit, because when you get to the other side of the fear, obviously new ants show up and there's new things to deal with, but you get there at a whole nother level. So when you face the same issues again, you're at a different level, you have a different mindset, those fears have dissipated. But I want to go, and then you have new ones that you have to work on, and then they dissipate, and then you have new ones you have to work on. But and that's called the spiral of awareness. But let's go back to Fern, when all the ants were coming out. What were the major fears you had? We know that having fear, having a dream and then having fear, we know that that's actually a requirement, right? Fear and failure are requirements for you to actually progress. What were some of the major fears you had that drove that longing and discontent, before you started using the tools?
I think financial security, being a single parent, being a woman, I'd taken time off work. So my income wasn't where it should be because, I'd been out the workplace and then going back in. I was now working for myself. And there was a lot about, I just do this stuff, that it's not valuable. I just go to work, that sort of mindset. So a big scared thing was, would someone pay me? Would someone want to work for me? How would I get them to pay me? What if I did all the work and they didn't pay me because I wasn't worthy and I shouldn't get, and was my price point correct? Or, should I too little? So,
and also at that time, the customers you were working with, you were almost like overworking as well. Like you had this such a desire to do such a great job that you didn't have boundaries, that I remember. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't know how to say, no, I can't do this right now. You were doing everything for everyone all the time and not getting paid properly. And then there was, resentment building up, as it does. So that was an interesting process to watch you go through, because you had to get to a place where you were willing to sort of be grateful for the opportunities you had with the clients that you had, but also be really grateful for the opportunity to move on and create a new client base. And that was an interesting transition for you.
And it was. And that's why I said, that's when I look back in hindsight, it's wonderful that if I'd done the first vision workshop, I'd have been that further forward. Because I think I didn't have a great mindset as an employee, because you're working and had that insecurity. And I took that into working for myself. And just looking at a few figures, I'd looked at rates and things that you should charge. And I think the going rate was like £27.50 or £30 an hour. And I went in at 25. And then over delivered on that, and then.
So you're really getting paid like £10 an hour.
Yeah. And not having the words or the confidence, because I was grateful, but I was almost too grateful because didn't come from a positive place. I was grateful for the work, and I didn't have that confidence to go and grab more and realize there was enough.
And like you said to me yesterday, a lot of that was fear driven. Yes. A fear of not being able to keep your son, fear of other things that drove you to say yes to things that you normally wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't say normally, but now with the power you have, would not say yes to. Okay. So there was, the fear was real and it was intense. And so what were some of the steps that you took, some of the tools that you used to overcome that fear, and how did things shift for you? And what are things like for you now?
Well, things are absolutely great now. Things are brilliant. And, as you say, I've been in the mastermind and they've gone leaps and bounds. But the steps that I took was, obviously, I joined Dream Builder. I knew I needed some support and some help and doing all the actions that went through that, which gave me back my voice, and putting in boundaries and saying, this is what I want. And it worked out really, really well. I'd stayed with that client for over a year. We were coming to a natural end. All the processes and procedures and the things that I do were in place, and they've gone on to great things. And I was in that transitioning place. And instead of feeling quite fearful of going, I'm going between one class and I actually don't have a plan, I was coming to the end of Dream Builder and I had all the steps and I had the confidence. And I put my price range from 25 to 35 pounds. Nobody looked at me funny. Nobody said, Fern, what are you doing? How dare you? Who do you think you are? People just I say just came, but they were there. They were available. I had loads of referrals and recommendations to the client that I'd worked with. People were finding me on LinkedIn from stuff that I put out. I'd been on LinkedIn. I realized that actually I could be visible and I had things that were worthwhile saying and people wanted to hear them. So that was really important. And also I'd taken some, I mentioned community and relationships were part of the quadrant. And I think that's really important to have a community and have a support structure and the partners in believing. And I'd said that I wanted to see more of my family in South Africa because they all live in South Africa. But I hadn't been quite specific. I'd been specific on people I wanted to see, my mom and my best friend, Rachel, who I saw in Scotland and Amsterdam recently. So I haven't got to South Africa in the last 6 months, but I have seen those people. So I do need to be a little bit more specific in my dream building and what I want to.
But that was a big deal, getting to spend time with your mom and going to Scotland. That was a huge trip for you. And then planning this trip with your friend to Amsterdam, that was another big trip for you, but you put it on the calendar and you did it. The other thing too, that we haven't really touched on, and this is one of the beautiful things, once you start working in one or two quadrants of your life, other quadrants fall into place. And you've had some major health shifts as well. Let's talk about that, because obviously we are all women of a certain age. Most of us listening to this podcast, I mean, either about to go into that certain age or having gone through that certain age. How has it impacted your health and well-being?
Well, I have found menopause really, really hard. And it struck during COVID, so there was lots of stuff going on. So probably wasn't identified straight away as perimenopause. I'm 50 and I'm delighted to be 50. I had a great 50th year. But it's also one of the things I put on the back burner. I have a child, I had the job, I was doing everything else. And committing to a dream and knowing that you want stuff makes you commit to the other things and be accountable to yourself. So I've been going to some physio. I have been really persistent. I went private, then I went back into the NHS, but I have the tools and the medication and the things that I need to be a better, healthier me. I've given up smoking. I don't drink anymore, but these are my choices, and I feel 100% better. And I'm still on that journey, but every time I think I'm going to slip, I'm like, oh, it's not really worth it. I'm like, no, and I have that, I have this vision of me being by the beach, sitting on a porch, being healthy. I have a young son, he's 13. I want to be able and fit and cycling and canoeing and paddling. And I have that vision. And part of that vision is being healthy and being financially able to have that vision, and having my son and my community around me. So making sure those 4 quadrants are all coming together.
And you've done some things like, book your hair and get your
Yes.
nails done. Let's
Nails
talk
done.
about that.
Yeah, well, I one of the things was being visible, and I think early on, if you were listening, you heard me talk about worth, and that was the big scary thing. What it boiled down to was like being seen and what would people say, about you. So LinkedIn was a big step, putting my photo out there. Did a web page, and then I was like, I need to do more. So I had a brand shoot. Had my hair done. I hadn't had my hair done I have curly hair, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like yours, Joy. You can see if it's not straight or cut. I just leave it curly. It's fine. So I did the brand shoot. I went and had my hair cut. I had beautiful red nails up until a week ago. I did them twice because I had 2 brand shoots. And it was really lovely. And it's also made me go, actually, Fern, you work from home, not make an effort, but actually, get up in the morning, get dressed, invest in myself, and I go to gym now. That was another big thing, part of my health and being healthy. It wasn't about weight loss. It was more about being healthy. And I started going once a month, and then I was going twice a month. And now I've committed. I go twice a week, and I love it. With somebody around the corner. I've got a dog, Bert. I walk him. My life just seems it's coming together. I think it's still a journey, but all the pieces, are there.
Well, and let's talk about, again, it's amazing how when you work on one quadrant and things start moving, then the other quadrants start shaping up as well. Let's talk about time, money, freedom. I mean, obviously you've got the time to go to the gym and the freedom to go to the gym. You've got that regular routine, but you had something really dramatic happen to your pension and you've completely reversed it. Are you comfortable talking about that? I would love for you to share that story, because so many women haven't really put a thought to their pension, but then you were working hard on your pension and then something happened. Tell everybody.
Well, yeah. So having been working in the corporate world and then going on maternity leave and going back, and until pensions became a thing in England that all employees had to do, I was very aware of it. I've been money conscious because I have a story, growing up and with money and money loss and having it again. So it's a big thing. And I invested this, a couple of years ago, I invested. I was being very good, and I amalgamated all the bits and pensions, and I put them in a pot, and I invested them. And then I left them there because you don't really think about them. They're supposed to be there forever. And I got a letter in the post, and pretty much they had lost 75%. So, and a big reason that I was saving this money is in 5 years' time. My son is 18. My maintenance comes to an end. I'm like, am I buying the house? Am I not buying the house? What am I going to do? So it was really important, that I had this money, and it was gone. And it was devastating. I mean, I was like, well, how? It's just how, and also how I'm going to recoup it and reclaim it and get it back again. And I have, So I found another little bit of money. So it was about 40,000 pounds that it was just, wiped off the bottom line of my pension. And I'm pretty much, I think when I looked yesterday, I think I'm at 38 I made a real effort, and I don't know how, because when you have money, you spend money, but somehow when you're focused on something, I managed to save the money, accumulate it, amalgamate. I have a plan. I know where I'm going and what I'm doing.
So you have almost recouped almost 100% of what you lost.
Yeah.
Within a space of about 1 year.
Yeah.
That I just want to that's like a mic drop, I think, because we talk about something called the reticular activating system. TechPixieses is very science-based, brain-based, neuroscience-based. And the reticular activating system is one of the things we talk about on the Vision Workshop, which is it's basically the part of your brain that when you're thinking about something, it starts looking for it. So, let's say I'm thinking about getting a new car, and then all of a sudden you see the car that you want to buy everywhere. Right. Or that I remember when I was wanting to be a mom, I saw pregnant people everywhere. Or, or if you want a dog, you see dogs everywhere. Like so the reticular activating system kicks in when you're focused on something that you would love, and you start to see it everywhere. And so what we say is, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so as we are focusing over and over again on this thing that we want, the energy starts going there, and things start moving in that direction. And it's a really beautiful, wonderful thing, because you do sort of wake up and go, oh, this is happening. It's happening, or it's happened, or, but there's been a concerted effort to stay focused on that thing that you would like, and then taking action towards it. In fact, one of the things that I talked about on Mindset Monday. So at TechPixieses, we have Mindset Monday, and I always go through something that I'm learning or teaching. I always teach something that I'm going through or learning. And there's a book called The Science Getting Rich, which is a beautiful, beautiful book, really about the science of having a rich life in every aspect, like in all 4 quadrants. But one of the quotes in the book that I shared on Mindset Monday, which I think is really relevant to this, is that there is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. It's the hardest work in the world. And, when you're fighting fear, it's easy actually to feed the fear. It's hard to starve the fear. And what we're doing by thinking about what we want, to get that pension payment back up to speed, get it to where we want it to go. It's easy to go down the road of it's not going to work out, but we teach at TechPixieses how to shift towards controlling the thoughts and squashing the ants so that we believe in what's possible and we stay focused on the vision. So what you've done is absolutely incredible. And then when you think about this, and you're not the only one, we have someone else in our program who had, and I'll let her tell her story eventually, but she had a huge loss, like, 6 figures loss. And she recouped it after Dream Builder within a year. And it was unbelievable because you shift the neurological pathway in your mind, the way you think about things, and then everything shifts and things start coming to you, and you start seeing things and doing things differently, and realize that you have the power to change the situation. You're no longer a victim of that situation. You're in control. And I just, I look at what you've done in the last year, and I think, what is she going to do the next 3 years? Holy cow. If that's what she could do in 1 year, what are we going to do the next 3? Which is why, of course, I think, I love working with you because you continue to invest in a system of support and guidance. And I've done the same thing. I've worked with the same mentor and guide for the last 3 years. And it has been one of the greatest gifts that I've given myself. I would never have a coach that doesn't have a coach. So it's so important for me to continue my study so that I can bring my lessons learned to you guys. But I am so proud of you and what you've done. I just want to share a couple of comments that are coming from our live audience. Morin says, "That's devastating, losing that money. Well done for your focus on recouping it. That is awesome." And Claire says, "This episode is exactly what I needed. Thank you, as always, Joy and Fern. I love hearing your story. Your lead magnet made its way into my personal social media feed. I had no idea that you were a tech pixie." Now, we have a beautiful, vibrant community of people who just have this beautiful mindset, this beautiful way of thinking, incredible partners in believing. And obviously, Claire and Morin are 2 of those incredible women as well. Let's talk about your lead magnet. One of the things that I said in the podcast series that I just did on the 5 things you should be doing in your business was I said you need a lead magnet. And you need to get people off social media and into the email inbox, which if you can hear the pinging, those are all of the messages coming in. Her mailing list is growing minute by minute. Apologies, we probably should have turned those off, but I actually love it. It's a perfect example of her inbox is filling up with lots of requests to work with her. So Fern, let's talk about that. What's your lead magnet for your business, and how are you helping people to start using some of the incredible operational organizational skills that you have, and you're teaching those to people, not just being operational for people, but you're teaching other people how to improve their operations behind the scenes, including becoming an inbox zero hero, which is what I like to talk to you about. You're an email ninja, Google ninja, inbox zero hero. So what's your lead magnet and how can people find it?
Oh, fantastic, Joy. So my lead magnet is the Inbox Zero Starter Guide. And you can get it on my webpage, which is Fern Fuller Services /downloads, because there's another download all about templates, which will help you speed up getting in and out of your inbox even faster. And there's also a contact page if you go to Fern Fuller Services /contacts, and you can get in touch. But the download's really great. And there's an email series that goes with it to help you, because what I'm really focused on and what I really enjoy doing, and I've worked with CEOs and I've worked with founder owners for 25 years, is getting in, starting with your inbox. And your inbox is, the door to your home these days and the door to your world. And as you get more and more successful, it gets busier and busier and busier. And that's where your business is, but also where your overwhelm is and things that you shouldn't have. So working with people, particularly women, founder owners, on their inbox as a starting point to get space for more, to be able to do more. And the lead magnet will just talk you through some really key, simple steps that you can do half an hour a day, once a week, and you'll get your inbox into a really great place. And then it's just maintaining it. And there's things from simple things like labels and sorting and archiving, so you can find things quicker. And you'll also identify stuff that you just really shouldn't be doing anymore, that you can pass on to other people or just not do. So it's a really good point. If you want to do like a sense check of your business or where you are, grab the guide, go through your inbox, and I promise you, you'll be in a better place by the end of the week, knowing what's in your inbox, knowing where it is, knowing how to find it.
Well, and let's talk about that because, one of the things you've done is you've gone from, you've done the social media training with TechPixieses, you've done the Dream Builder training with TechPixieses, and then you've also done the business beyond social training with TechPixieses, and now the mastermind. And as you've done these different programs, they build on each other and they help you to realize your dreams even further. So now I know we're going to have to do a follow-up interview. So why don't we do this? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your vision is for the future, some of the things that are still on your vision board that you haven't achieved yet, so that when you come back, you can tell me all about them and how you've achieved them.
Well, I'm hoping, I will be in South Africa for Christmas with my son, seeing my family and my friends and seeing the sunshine.
So you're going to South Africa for Christmas.
I'm going to South Africa in December, and it's going to be awesome. And we're going to have a fantastic time. And hopefully when I next see you again, I'll also have a plan to make sure that I'm doing those on a recurring basis and also doing them debt-free, which is really important. Yeah. So of course, we can all book holidays, but doing it debt-free and knowing I can afford it is a whole different thing. So I will be doing that. In terms of business,
you are doing that. Not will be.
I am doing that. In terms of business, I am doing Jeff's, what does he call it? Product launch formula. So I'm hoping, I will. Okay. I have to remember that. I will be launching.
I am
launching a course on how to do your inbox. So basically holding your hand, working with you. By the end of 4 weeks, you'll have the inbox that you want, but also the things around it, the processes and the systems, and the reason why you're starting with your inbox. And I will be working with more clients. I really enjoy working with founder owners because they have so much passion and they have so much of their why and why they're doing it, that for me to come in and do the operational side, which is my zone of genius, gives me joy. It makes me really happy because then I can see the success that other people are having, and then I feel successful. So I will be doing a lot more of that. In terms of health and well-being, hopefully I won't be joining you in my bikini, but I will have a bikini healthy body. And I'll be doing more cycling. The beach is beckoning. I know it's England, but I'm South African and I like the sea and I like the beach even when it's cold. And I'll be doing loads more of that. And Bert won't be snoring under my desk. I have a lovely French bulldog. He will be running on the beach and running through the woods. So hopefully I'll be telling you all about forests I've found and beaches I've been to and holidays I've been on, and also how successful my year has been.
Yeah, I have no doubt whatsoever. All of those things are going to happen for you. And so it is. Yes. I really believe it. This is something greater still. I absolutely just love working with you. I love watching your progress. And I know this will be very inspirational to a lot of people. And I just have to say, Fern has not necessarily shown it in this interview because she's coming from such a strong place of power and strength, which she has come into. But getting here for her, she knows what it feels like to be scared. She knows what it feels like. I mean, I
was just last week completely frozen. To interrupt you, Joy. So I had a really good year, and and I'm being really happy and passionate about how successful it's been. And then literally went into frozen, like, oh my gosh, it's too good. It's all going to go wrong. I did nothing. And I went off social media for 3 or 4 days. I struggled to write my newsletter. It was hard. Yeah. And I was like, and then it's like, pull yourself up. And then it's that fear. It's going, well, why am I doing this? And Joy, you also talk about, not on this session, but brain primes, which I find essential, so rechanging the way I work and the way my brain's thinking and validating and refuting, and that's it, but they'll call it DEF CON happens not weekly, but it doesn't go away.
And it's getting less and less. I mean, the thing about this is it's getting less and less. And as she finds her strength, as you find your strength, that you start to recognize, okay, this is just a sign. I got through this before. I can get through this again. That's the brain priming. And it's a beautiful thing. But I want people to hear this beautiful story, but I also want them to know this is a journey. Getting to where you are now, this is a 3-year journey, and you have been very diligent. You have read every book I've recommended. You have taken notes. You have been on every call, and this is what I say. If you show up, you do the work, you will get the results, full stop. And that's the way that it works at TechPixies. And you're a perfect example of a student who shows up, does the work, does the study, you do. And that's why 3 years later, you're in this place that's just incredible. And that's why I'm really excited about the next 3 years, because it builds on that. Success breeds success, and confidence breeds confidence. And especially when we remind ourselves with brain-based evidence that we've got through things before and we'll get through them again, and that we are not a victim. We're actually the person that can control our thoughts and emotions around a situation, and we can change our thoughts and emotions around a situation, and we can completely transform the way we see the problem, which, Eckhart Tolle says in The Power of Now, there are no problems, there's just situations. And the truth is, a situation is completely neutral. We have thoughts, emotions, and feelings around it. And, it's not to say that we shouldn't experience emotion. I mean, there's a beautiful book, The Atlas of the Heart, by Brene Brown, that goes into 87 different emotions that humans feel. But one of the bonuses of understanding emotions is being able to cognizantly, from a meta perspective, be able to notice what you're noticing. What is the emotion I'm experiencing right now? What do I want to do about it? Do I want to change my thought? Do I want to change my feeling? How do I want to change what's going on right now so that I can move forward? The biggest thing we see is if people can't change their thoughts and emotions, they cannot move forward. And we really want people to move forward. So, Fern, thank you so much for being here today. As a reminder, if you would like to grab her amazing download, you can go to fernfullerservices.com/downloads. You can grab it there. And is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap up this amazing podcast?
I would just want to say to anyone who's listening is that just invest in yourself. Start with investing time and just joining, if it's free workshops or whatever else, and then start investing financially in yourself, because that's how I started with TechPixies, and I hadn't before, and it will reap the benefits. So invest in yourself, whether it's that time, the gym class, the hair appointment, the training and the courses, and finding your vision and knowing where you want to go has been life-changing for me. I didn't know that I'd be self-employed successfully 3 years ago. It was just over there.
And now you got to go answer all those emails. Downloads are coming in as we're talking. I love it. All right, Fern, thank you so much. Love and light to you. Thank you for your time today. I am so grateful, and we'll speak soon. Looking forward to that catch-up call.
Yes. Bye.